Welcome to Who Wants to Be an Accounting Millionaire, powered by Financial Sense. I'm Drew Carrick, the rapping CPA, and today we're throwing it back. And I mean all the way back, before QuickBooks, before Financial Sense, before Excel, before caffeine-fueled CPE webinars. This episode is all about the pioneers and pivotal moments that shaped the accounting world as we know it. From ancient civilizations, first balance sheets, vibes, to the very first CPA license, this one's for the historians in the audit room and the legends who made debits and credits cool. So, with that being said, let's get into it and meet today's contestant.
Hey Drew, I'm excited to be here. I'm a little bit nervous. I've not brushed up on my accounting history in quite some time, but I'm here to play the game. It should be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time, and I think there's a lot of stuff on here which, you know, being the accounts that we are, we can kind of deduce a little bit of the answers, and I think it's a lot of the historical moments that have come up, and like whether it's people at conferences making like references to them or alluding to them or some of these things. I personally love history, and obviously majored in accounting, love history. So this is a kind of cool one that I'm excited to see how you do, and I'm excited to see how the audience playing along does as well. And if people are thinking like, oh my gosh, how did you not know that? That's so obvious. Or if it's like, oh, these are a piece of cake. These are so easy. They should have made them harder.
Let's do it.
Let's get a little bit of background on yourself, right? So I know who you are, obviously, from being in the accounting ether as long as we have. But for those who might not be familiar, let's give you a little introduction on yourself, where you're from, what role you do, and where you're working.
Yeah, so I am Katie Thomas. I'm a CPA, and I run Leaders Online. We're a digital marketing agency for accounting firms. Been doing that for 7 years now. I'm in Kansas City, but have clients all over the U.S. as well as team members all over the U.S. And a lot of times people are like, hey, how did you go from accounting to marketing? So I grew up in a small business. I was building websites when I was a teenager, running Google Ads before I should have even been allowed to, and always loved marketing. But I also loved numbers and math. And so went to school, got an accounting degree, and was still doing some marketing on the side, and realized, you know what, I love the accounting and the accounting profession as a whole. I don't want to leave that, but I really miss marketing, and noticed that accountants could use a lot of help. So combined both of those passions into one, and that's how I got to where I'm at today.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting how we're able to take these two different worlds and pull them together. I think the future, and you can correct me if you think differently, but I think the future is all about finding ways to pull those separate concepts and pull them together. I think in a world where AI is so dominant, where you can have technology that's able to really focus in on a singular specific technicality or technical field, the innovation, which is that creative aspect that you can't really get from AI, comes from being able to take two different worlds with knowledge of both of them and create that little bit of a crossover.
Yeah, really, if you can dream up doing something today, or really any role that you want to do, I encourage someone to explore that, because I know, at least for me, when I was working at the Big Four, I had no idea all the roles and opportunities that were available as an accountant. And then I think about like what you brought up, like with AI, now I can only imagine that's tremendously more. So I just hope people stay curious wherever they're at in their career.
So what was your favorite accounting class as you were going through college?
Well, the first one that like piqued my interest was just accounting, the first intro class. Everyone kind of calls it something different, like Financial 1. But outside of that, I really liked a fraud class that I took. I thought it was super interesting, and I thought maybe I'll go down that path, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, forensic accounting is definitely one of those like super fascinating areas too, especially whenever there's new technology, there's always new ways to try to scheme the system. There's always new fraud that kind of comes out and becomes accessible, that it's almost like the criminals are on the cutting edge of technology, right? They're the ones. So you need some good guys who can get in there and combat it.
Yeah, which, I mean, it sounded pretty like sexy and fun in theory in the class, but I'm sure if you're just getting started, you're like very much in the weeds. So, hey, maybe someday.
Maybe sometimes in the physical weeds, like going through the garbage cans looking for the receipts. That's how I always envisioned it. It's like they're looking for the receipt in a garbage bin outside of a bar. And they're like, they were here.
Yeah.
and they put it on the corporate card. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the rules of the game and the gameplay here. So here at Who Wants to Be an Accounting Millionaire, you'll get 10 questions, with each question getting more difficult as you go along. So we're going to start off with what I would say are the easier questions. Sometimes people have said, no, these aren't the easier questions. These are very difficult questions. But again, as with most trivia, it depends on whether you know it or you don't know it. So the questions will get progressively more difficult as we go along. There are safety nets along the way. So you will accrue money over the course of answering each question correct. So you'll get $10 for the first 3 questions. And once you've gotten to the third question, you will be at a $30 safety net, meaning no matter what, you're guaranteed to walk away with at least the $30. As you continue to go along, you will get to the next safety net after question 6, which locks you in at the $250 mark. And so that no matter what happens after that, there's no reason to walk away on question 7, because the worst case scenario is you'll drop back down to your question 6 amount of $250. Now, in the event that you do get a question wrong somewhere in the middle, the game's not over. We're still going to find out whether you're able to get the rest of the questions right by making each question worth a flat $10. So from that point on, you'll keep going. You'll get $10 per question from wherever the previous safety net was, and you can get up to the next $10 the whole rest of the way. Yeah, you'll also have 3 lifelines available to you to help you along here. One of them is the switch the question. If you don't like it, you trade it in and you get a new question. The other one is the 50-50, where we'll eliminate 2 of the wrong answers. And then for the third lifeline, you'll have the bookkeeper's hint, which is where I give a subtle nudge. That's all on me. That's based on my improv skills. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I do what I can in the situation. So use it as you see fit. But those will be your 3 lifelines, and that'll get us through this game here. So you can win up to $1,000 if you get every question right and you make your way through the entire thing. The values will increase exponentially as we go along, but you do have those safety nets along the way to help you, give you a little more confidence as you get to those questions. So if that all makes sense, you ready to get into the game?
Let's do it.
So this is Accounting Firsts and Historic Moments. So we'll see how many of our accounting friends out there can line up with your knowledge here and line up with these questions. So question 1, who is widely regarded as the father of accounting, or the father of double entry bookkeeping? Is it A, Galileo Galilei, B, Luca Pacioli, C, Adam Smith, or D, Benjamin Franklin?
So, I think I actually know this one because of some content that we did for somebody recently, and it was B, Luca. How do you say his last name?
Pacioli. Luca Pacioli.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's right. I'm going to lock that one in.
All right. We will lock in B, Luca Pacioli. And B is correct. Father of modern day bookkeeping, the father of accounting, is Luca Pacioli. So what was this engagement, if it's not too secret, that you were touching on Luca?
He was talking about, like, if you actually knew the history of, like, where bookkeeping came from and just how long it'd been around, and that it's nothing new. So I don't know, though, if I'm sure we learned about this in school at some point, but thank goodness for that client refreshing my memory if I learned it before.
That's very cool. So you've now earned $10. And as I always like to say, Luca, he didn't invent double entry bookkeeping, but he gave it a marketing plan, like the Steve Jobs of spreadsheets. And so put accounting on the map. That's why he's the godfather. You've earned $10. You've passed question 1. We're ready to roll on to question 2. Let's see if we can get you to that first safety net. So question number 2. What was the first known civilization to use accounting systems to track trade and inventory? Is it A, ancient China, B, ancient Egypt, C, Mesopotamia, or D, ancient Greece?
Oh boy, I'm between C and B, so I'm going to do 50-50. Kind of leaning towards C, but...
Okay, so we will eliminate A and B.
Okay, so I'm going to go with C, Mesopotamia.
So do you have context around, like, your remembrance of Mesopotamian times?
I am pulling this way back from 6th grade, we learned about Mesopotamia, and I remember them talking about like their trade systems and inventory. And so that's why that one was ringing a bell. Again, not from accounting class though.
Well, you can thank your 6th grade teacher because C, Mesopotamia, is correct.
$20.
You have now accrued $20. You've used your 50/50 lifeline. You still have your bookkeeper's hint and your swap a question available to you as you go along. Yeah, I mean, before Excel, before calculators, just clay, sticks, and a sharp eye on the barley count. But Mesopotamia was always one for me that stuck out because I just remember that being like the first civilization. I mean, I know ancient Egypt was the Nile, but there's always some Mesopotamian. And I also remember doing a video at one point on Mesopotamians having like this currency, kind of inventing some initial currency. So it's like, all right, well, as soon as you have money involved, accounting doesn't follow too far after.
Right.
So now we have our safety net question. This is a big one. Question number 3. You've accrued $20 so far, so this will be for $30 and the first safety net. Question 3. Which major financial reporting act was passed in response to the 1929 stock market crash? Is it A, the Securities Act of 1933, B, the Clayton Act, C, the Internal Revenue Code of 1939, or D, Sarbanes-Oxley Act?
The Securities Act.
Locking it in?
Yes.
And that is correct. The Securities Act of 1933, that one feels like sometimes could be a little bit of a gimme, right? You're thinking 1929, how long does it take the government to get an act passed? You know, I'm sure some people will be like, well, it could take hundreds of years. I know at some point there was some amendment that was proposed in like the 1700s that only made its way to Congress and got denied, I think within like the last decade. I remember reading something about that. So yeah, sometimes these things can take hundreds of years. In this case, government seems to act quickly when there's major economic hardships, as we know. So after the Great Depression, Congress basically said, you want to sell stocks, show us your receipts, and sort of get some order to, you know, the booming 20s were booming, but you can't have the high without the low. And so that's, I think, what really kind of kick-started the accounting profession as a whole, with all those accounting firms popping up, auditors becoming, you know, getting onto the map. And that's what led me to eventually probably getting a job in accounting in the first place.
Yeah, so we can all thank the crash, actually.
Yeah, thank the crash. Somebody put that on a t-shirt. All right. So you have now passed your safety net. You're locked in. No matter what, you're walking away with at least $30. And you've now accrued $30. So this next question will be to up the ante to $60. So this is where we start to hit our exponential increase here. That being said, let's get into question 4. What year was the Certified Public Accountant CPA credential first established in the United States? Is it A, 1896, B, 1913, C, 1865, or D, 1929? Walk us through your thought process here as you're going through this.
Well, okay. I want to say that the AICPA, I think, was formed like, I want to say it was like 1887. Maybe that's crazy though. So if that would, a CPA would have to be after that. So I'm kind of leaning towards A, but how about we switch the question?
You're just going for a question switch?
Yeah.
Okay, question 4, we will do a question switch. Now, for those who were interested, 1896, when the top hats were in and the CPAs were just getting started with the balance sheets and the bowler hats, I would have definitely trusted the gut there. It seems like that would check out. But instead, we will move on over to our alternative lifeline question. Which international body issued the first set of global accounting standards in the 1970s? Was it A, the OECD, B, the IASB, C, the IASC, or D, the IFAC?
Okay, I'm definitely an I. First set of global. B. IASB.
The correct answer is C.
Oh!
IASC. The International Accounting Standards Committee, formed in
man.
1973, was the precursor to today's ISAB and issued the first global accounting standards.
Okay. Came before.
A lot of the times the committees start before the boards.
Okay. There we go. Well,
That would have been a good chance for the bookkeeper's hint, because I would have told you on the first question, I would have said, well, sometimes you got to go with your first instinct, right?
okay.
But that doesn't mean the game is over, because you still got $10 available for every remaining question. You're still locked in at your 30. From this point on, you'll accrue an extra $10 for each question that goes along. An extra cup of Starbucks to get you
There we
going
go.
for the whole rest of the afternoon. All right, so let's get on to question 5. Which U.S. president was the first to be a licensed CPA? Is it A, Herbert Hoover, B, Ronald Reagan, C, Calvin Coolidge, or D, none of the above?
Man, I'm just going with like A or B. So let's just go with bookkeeper's hint.
Sometimes there are trick questions that could be out there, because I think I would imagine if you should know who the first CPA president was in the event that there was.
D. Then we're going with D. None. There we go.
And D is correct. There was no president who was the first. I'm sure we would have heard about it had there been one, because that could be pretty much an icon, I would say. So while presidents have had business degrees and MBAs, so far no one has brought a CPA license to the Oval Office, probably because we're too ethical. So you have now earned $40. You have now used your bookkeeper's hint, so you're hintless the whole rest of the game here. So this is all on you. We still have the opportunity, as I always like to say, to get a passing CPA exam score, right? I think we'll just say if you get 7 out of 10, then that's good enough to get you there. That'll get you the license. It'll help you pass here. So let's move on to question 6. What was the first year the modern CPA exam was administered in a computer-based format? Is it A, 1999, B, 2001, C, 2004, or D, 2008?
Wow, those are some close years. That is.
Well, computers have only been around, I would say, for, I mean, computers that people are using now for 30 or 40 years, so there's not the biggest window to operate off of.
Kind of trying to go back to like school and think about when we started really using computers. Let's go with 2004.
C, 2004
Let's try
is
it.
correct.
There we go. Hey.
2004, the year CPAs went digital, so got rid of the pencils, and we said hello to digital panic rooms. So what's your history been like with Financial Sense? How did you get connected exactly?
Oh man, I'm trying to think back to. I feel like I probably first learned about Financial Sense, either saw someone post about it in a Facebook group or saw it talked about on LinkedIn, and then they just started popping up everywhere. They have a great social media presence, do great marketing, and people have wonderful things to say about them. I think about like Roman. I think about like just some of they have diehard fans, which is awesome.
That's really cool. And it was cool to see that they were at the top of Jason Stat's list, showing up of top technologies.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. That says a lot about them as a product. If they have Jason's stamp of approval, you know that they're a solid product.
Yeah, Jason basically runs the $10 million the small business firms. That is the stamp of approval. That is your unqualified audit opinion.
Yes, there you go.
All right, Katie. So you've now earned $50. You've passed question 5, crashed question 6. You've got 10 for those. We're going to keep on moving along. This is going to be question number 7.
Okay.
What year was the Financial Accounting Standards Board, or FASB, established? Is it A, 1959, B, 1973, C, 1984, or D, 1990?
Okay, no, it was before 1990. I don't think it was established in 1959. I'm going with B, 1973.
B, 1973. And
Lock
B,
it.
1973 is correct. See, you don't need hints at all. You just got to go with what your gut is telling you.
That's what they always told you when you were filling out those Scantrons, like ACT, like do not change your answer, and
Yep.
need to listen.
All right. Well, you've now earned $60. So this has been a great, from the I don't want to call it the losers bracket, but that trajectory side, you're doing great. So if you get the next 3 questions all right, you'll walk away with $90. So we're continuing our trek here. We're going to move on to question number 8. What company is credited with creating the first widely used computerized accounting software? Is it A, Microsoft, B, Oracle, C, Peachtree, or D, IBM?
Okay, I know I just talked about the gut, but I feel like I'm going to get this one maybe wrong, but my husband's grandma has been in accounting, or she's done their businesses accounting for years, and she says that they've been on Peachtree for years. So I'm going to go with Peachtree only because I have no idea out of the other 3 any reference or context.
Locking in C, Peachtree. And you can thank Grandma
Really?
because she
Oh my
got it.
Okay.
That's a really cool story to get to the right answer there, because a lot of people, I think, would just not know. Again, these are getting progressively more difficult, the questions, and you're progressively having a really cool way of figuring out the right answer.
Who knows?
All right, well, you're at $70 in earnings. You've got your last 2 questions coming up. These are allegedly the 2 most difficult questions. I would probably have to agree. We'll go right into question number 9.
Okay.
Which U.S. university was the first to offer a formal degree in accounting? Is it A, Harvard, B, the University of Illinois, C, NYU, or D, the Wharton School?
I feel like this wants you to pick A or C, and I'm not sure what the Wharton School is. But maybe that's some fancy school too. So I'm going to go with B, University of Illinois.
The accounting deduction of getting to B, the University of Illinois, works out again. It is B, the University of Illinois.
Why? Because the other ones looked fancy. And like you'd be like, oh, accounting, it's prestigious. Like it's got to be a big school. And I don't know what Wharton is. Is it though like some sort of like private school that's hard to get into?
The Wharton School is the business program at Penn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So accounting degrees used to be rare. Now you can't walk through a college quad without tripping over someone prepping for financial reporting. All right. So you have now earned $80. You've been on a roll for these last several questions, and we're going to go into the final question to bring the total earnings up to $90. This is question 10. Who was the first black CPA in the United States? Is it A, John W. Cromwell, Jr., B, Garrett Morgan, C, James Shepard, or D, Elijah Cummings?
Going with Elijah.
Any reason?
That's just what I was drawn to.
The answer is A, John Cromwell. He became a CPA in 1921, breaking racial barriers in the accounting profession. And again, as we figured out earlier, first designation was in the late 1800s. So around 25 years later, somebody took this pretty seriously. So not just a numbers man, but Cromwell changed the math of opportunity, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So you'll be walking away with $80. What are you planning to suspend it on?
$80. I guess you could go out for like a nice meal, maybe. Not even like that nice. I don't know. I'm an accountant, so maybe we just save it.
Yeah. There you go. Well, time value of money, though. Maybe you want to, some of us accountants got to get into the investing mindset. Maybe we throw it into to some sort of, I don't know, maybe a Bitcoin.
Yeah, like what is this going to be worth in 30 years?
Exactly. I mean, if you just let it sit under the couch, maybe not much. But if you throw it in some assets, then let's get some appreciation going. For me, it would probably go towards gas money. I just put the boat in the water for the summer. So
nice.
that is worth four trips on the boat, and those things guzzle. So
pretty good. Four trips, lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going very far on those 4 trips, but I'll go. All right, Katie. Well, it's been so great having you on Who Wants to Be an Accounting Millionaire, powered by Financial Sense. Thanks for being a contestant. Anybody else who wants to be contestants, we'd love to hear how you did, and would love to reach out if you want to give it a shot at seeing what I think we've seen as some progressively difficult questions here. Thanks for playing, Katie, and I'll see everybody next time.